we are excited to cue our very own Gokhan, the Managing Director of IOSG Ventures. He'll be presenting the road to the mass adoption, where he will revisit the investment thesis in the crypto applications and also provide the key insights into the preconditions for the mass adoption of crypto. So let's give him a warm welcome. Gokhan, to the stage.
Hello, everyone. This is Gokhan. I'm a managing director at the firm at IOSG Ventures. I've been with IOSG since 2020. You guys probably know a lot about IOSG, but I will talk more about it. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to Turkey. It's also my hometown. Yeah. We're really looking forward to increase the awareness of blockchain development in Turkey. We think it's a very key market. We believe that it's going to play an essential role in the coming years. So with that, welcome you all again to Old Friends Reunion, the 10th edition. In my presentation, I will mostly talk about our investment thesis in the space, but very briefly about IOSG. IOSG was founded in 2017. We've been investing in the space since then. We take pride in being a community-friendly, research-driven, early-stage investment firm. We've been investing across the world, and we're striving to be the benchmark of investment firms in Asia. The first part of the presentation is going to focus on revisiting our thesis or the case for crypto apps in general. So I think if you want to do that, first we have to tell people what are the problems that we see in the Web2 space, right? And the first thing is, as everybody says, the centralization is a big problem in this space. If you look at the data at this point, like 90%, the majority, almost all of the volume or the traffic that goes to the top 1% of the websites. And these we're talking about all the social media that you guys are already aware of. And 85% of the mobile app usage, this also goes to the top 1% of the publishers by monthly active users. So centralization wouldn't be a big problem if actually there was some open source spirit to it. What happens is, if you have these centralized companies kind of controlling the whole traffic of the internet, they also have a right to charge very take rates, right? This is one of the main problems. So if you look at some of the companies like Meta, YouTube, Spotify, App Store, you already are aware that they're charging at least 30% from the people who are actually creating content in these platforms. Spotify is charging 30% if you're publishing your music on top of that platform. Meta famously has a 100% take rate. So basically, they're just getting the whole revenue of the advertisements on their platform to themselves, not sharing anything with the publishers or developers building anything on these platforms. So building on top of these problems that we see on Web 2, we believe that there are three main advantages to building applications on Web 3. The first one is the lower take rates, right? Thanks to the permissionless kind of nature of our industry, and we're hoping to keep it this way, there's no way that anyone can charge the high rates that you see in Web 2. And the reason for that is, if someone is charging 30, 40%, the code is open sourced, and any developer can go and fork it, deploy a copy of that, and then the users can take their existing data, and they can start using the alternative platforms, where this would ideally drive down the fees, right? The protocols wouldn't be able to charge that much. And the second part is, there's a token in the crypto industry. Everybody's well aware of that. And we believe that the main advantage of token is basically bootstrapping. And this advantage is something that you actually don't have in the Web2 industry. We're suggesting that token is not a problem to anything, right? But then if you use it in a key way, that is, you have to build the application, you have to find the crypto native power users of application, and then once you do that, if you introduce the token, you're going to see that tokens actually help a lot with customer acquisition, and they reduce down the customer acquisition costs. And the third one is, I think this is also part of the permissionless nature. Basically, there are no rug pulls from the platforms, right? Developers can actually believe in these platforms, and without any long-term concerns, they can go and build on top of these platforms because the platforms are open source. They have accessible APIs and SDKs that are not going to be going anywhere. So this is the case for the crypto applications, but then obviously there are a lot of problems with our industry at this point. We have been trying to solve these problems in the last 8-9 years, but then admittedly, so it's been a short period of time if you think about when Ethereum was launched and the progress we've made so far. But then there are still very important problems that we're trying to solve. Scaling is one of them, but then we believe that with the recent improvements in that scaling part, we're expecting like 10 to 15x improvement only on Ethereum itself, Ethereum network, thanks to the layer 2 solutions that we invested in the past as well. The user experience is another famous problem with the crypto industry. If anyone has ever downloaded an on-chain application, they probably know that how difficult it is to interact with the blockchains, not to mention the security problems. But then with the recent, again, developments in the space, like the technologies like account abstraction, private key management tools, and smart contract wallets, we expect an improvement in the user interaction with the blockchains. And finally, in general, developer tooling. We are expecting mass adoption of crypto, but then this goes through inviting all these developers to our industry, and this requires an ease of development on blockchain. We've seen a lot of improvements on the developer tooling side, and we think that's been a key for the coming years. So IOSG Ventures investment thesis, we've been investing heavily on the infrastructure side in the last years, since the fund has been published and launched in 2017. Around like 80%, 70% of our investment was on the infrastructure side, and this was because blockchain industry was not ready for building applications. Now what we're seeing is, we think that we have the minimum viable kind of like infrastructure ready out there, that the application builders can actually come and build something on top of it. And that's why we're thinking about, and we're already seeing that with our existing investment, already we're switching to the majority of investments on the application side, rather than the infrastructure. And a couple of themes, and today's event theme is gaming and SocialFi and crypto applications on top in general. But one of the segments that we're investing is gaming, and we're really excited about it. The case for Web3 gaming is basically, we see like two sorts of games in the space so far. The first one we call Web 2.5 games. These are basically putting the most valuable assets of the traditional games on chain, so that users are actually keeping the custody of their most valuable assets. This is suitable for high-quality games that are competitive with the existing games that you see in the traditional market. But then also, there's a new trend that we see. These are the fully on-chain games. And for that, you are able to abandon the centralized servers. You can deploy the full game on-chain. And then there will be this decentralized source of trust, syncing the same state globally. This is, I know, a little bit wordy, but we believe that this is more fit for early stage PvP, high stakes games. It's not going to be competitive with the Web 2 games that you see in the space, but this is going to be much more exciting. And what enables the building of these Web 3 games is basically what we've seen in the last couple of years is the emergence of gaming engines. Gaming engines are basically Dojo, Mod, Argus, Curio, ChainSafe are building these. They provide toolkits that makes the game developers' lives much more easier if you want to build a Web 3 game. And high-tech games are basically regarding the scalability. They enable scalable games with complex mechanics that are fully on-chain. And there are also other platforms like Rollup as a service or app chain providers. These are also enabling ease of build deployment for the on-chain games. And then the second part of our investment thesis on the application side is the SocialFi. For SocialFi, we believe it's all about data, at least at this point, right? If you look at Web 2 companies that we've just mentioned before, there's the monopoly on the data, the ownership of the data. I mean, imagine if you could actually bring in your social network from Facebook, and if you're playing a new game, if you had access to your social network from Facebook, that would be actually great. That would actually make it much more easier to bootstrap your network in the new applications that you're using. So this is going to be possible only through Web3 shared data motto. We're seeing a lot of people nowadays in the space building these decentralized social graph, which enables you to build these data about who's following who's owning what assets, what transactions are being made. And this is going to be shared across all the applications that are built in that space. So power of shared database, we believe it's going to help a lot with personalized recommendation, text analysis for trading, and even AI training in the future. A couple of IOSG selected portfolio there you can see. We've invested in CyberConnect, Space and Time, Neil Foundation, Galaxy, Kive Network, just to mention. And this year, we've seen the emergence of one of the first crypto applications, right, in the space that got some sort of an adoption in the space. And I'm not sure if people are aware of it, but it's FriendTech. I would suggest if you guys haven't downloaded and played it, you go and check it out, because it's the first time actually crypto usage, web application experience gets very close to the Web 2 sort of experience. It's basically a marketplace for your friends, and if you put it this way, it might not be the best way to put it, but it's an application where you go and buy the shares of your friends that you think are going to become influential or somehow, let's say, KOLs in the future. And this helps you get a upside from their future in that case. There's a marketplace, and if you hold the share of that person, you actually have a right to start messaging with that person. So imagine there's a famous KOL that you want to get in touch with. You can go and buy their share, and this gives you a way of communicating with that specific person. So the good thing about this, I think, it showed the power of like, how would it look like to have crypto-native social applications? And it actually got quite some traction. There were like 1.2 million total buyers. There has been a lot of transactions happening for these shares, and there were more than like 25K Ethereum that has been generated as a revenue. This is one of the largest applications that you've seen in the crypto app world. To conclude, I will also talk about IOSG Ventures Network. So we're based in mostly Asia. We have a couple of offices all around the world, including Hong Kong, Singapore, and we're opening our office in Lisbon as well. But most of our portfolio is very global. Around 60% of our portfolio is in the US. We invested in around like 20-25% of our capital in the European companies. And then the rest is also spread around the world, including Israel, Japan, Australia, and other countries. When we invest in the companies, IOSG is one of the oldest firms investing in the space from Asia. And we try to bring in our whole resources to help our companies that we invest. That includes go-to-market in the Asia. That includes, as you can imagine, being early in the space, we've seen all the waves of crypto. We try to help with the narrative design. We try to provide, we got technical advisors that help the companies we invest with the tech design. Other helps include like marketing, ecosystem development, fundraising support, etc. We're also raising for our Fund 3. As we are closing to the end of the Fund 2 deployment, that is a $100 million one. We're raising for our Fund 3 $200 million. If anybody was interested in talking about that as well, happy to do that so. That's pretty much all for my presentation. Once again, welcome to Istanbul, and looking forward to chatting more. Thank you.